Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hamda Al-Husseini, and I am a researcher in the UAE Research Program for Rain Enhancement Science. Welcome to our 11th UAEREP webinar, where we discuss cutting-edge strategies for enhancing water security in the region. Today's session is a unique opportunity for all of us to dive deeper into the upcoming sixth cycle of the solicitation document, which is a critical part of our ongoing efforts to advance rain enhancement science. This session is titled Review, Align, Prepare, a deep dive on the UAE's sixth cycle solicitation document, and we will be focusing on the key elements of this new solicitation and providing insights into how you can draft a competitive proposal that aligns with our latest research priorities. We are honored to have with us today Dr. Dion Taboulakh, a distinguished member of the UAEREP Strategic Direction Committee and an expert consultant on weather climate science at the World Bank. Dr. Taboullakh's extensive experience in the field makes him an invaluable resource for understanding the specifics of the sixth cycle and what we hope to achieve through it. Before we begin with Dr. Taboulakh, I would like to remind everyone that you will have the chance to ask questions, so please just type them in the chat box and we're going to address them at the end of the session. Over to you now, Dr. Taboulakh.
Thank you very much, Hamda, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning all around the world. And it's my pleasure to share with you some insight into this rather exciting new opportunity provided by the UAE Rainfall Enhancement Program, and that is related to the sixth cycle solicitation document. And as Hamda mentioned, we call this Review, Align, and Prepare, a deep cycle dive into this document. So let's just see what this program is all about. It is really the leading global research program in rainfall enhancement science in the past decade. And I would go further and say in the last couple of decades, because it's really made a fundamental support in advancement in the field of rainfall enhancement science. And it has really fostered the global research effort and scientific cooperation through the 14 research projects that have been already awarded through 5 cycles. In addition to that, it has also supported the World Meteorological Organization and its expert team on weather modification to do a thorough review on the status of rainfall enhancement, and they produced 2 publications. The one is an internal publication by the WMO, and you can see the reference there, and this is worthwhile reading to see what the status is around the world. But it was also published in the Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society in 2019. Furthermore, this program has actually actively supported capacity and technology development globally. There's a whole new generation of scientists that have become involved in this very exciting field. I've grown up in this field, and it's really exciting because it brings together so many different aspects of climate science and atmospheric science and meteorology. And it includes field work and many other exposures that is really exciting. And it's a field that's developing very rapidly. It has also contributed significantly to the published literature in this field, and it has established effective numerical modeling cooperation and really exciting developments, especially on the microphysical side, to better understand how clouds develop, how rain forms, and how droplets and ice particles interact with one another. And of course, it also hosts the biennial International Rain Enhancement Forum, of which the next one will happen in January, early next year. So the program, the UAE Research Program for Rainfall Enhancement, is really to promote the fundamental scientific understanding of rainfall enhancement, and then to stimulate the development and deployment of rainfall enhancement technologies. So it's about the science on the one hand and the development and implementation of the technologies. But the end goal, and this is really important, that we deal with a very practical problem in the world, and that is to increase rainfall for water security in the UAE and other arid regions of the world. As you know, as the global population is growing, economic development is taking place, and there's a need for more food production. Water is becoming a limiting factor in many parts of the world. So although we might get excited as scientists about the science involved here, the end goal is a very practical, tangible thing, and one should keep this in mind also as you develop your proposals for this sixth cycle. So in general, numerical modeling at different scales have been taken place in all the projects. There's been a use of sophisticated instrumentation and facilities because there's a lot of field measurements needed. It's about clouds, it's about the real atmosphere, it's about understanding complex processes that can't always be duplicated in a laboratory, but that occurs in nature, in clouds, microphysics, and everything that goes around it. And it's about the understanding of the role of natural and artificial aerosols in clouds. As we all know, that cloud drops and ice particles in the atmosphere require the presence of cloud condensation nuclei and ice nuclei. So it's a basic fundamental understanding of those processes and how abundant those particles are in the atmosphere. It's also about the understanding of different seeding materials and its impact within the UAE context and other semi-arid to arid areas in the world. Also looking at the electrical effects that impact on droplet growth and coalescence, and then hygroscopic seeding that has been the sort of basis of many of these approaches in the last almost 40 years, to understand that in a multi-timescale and scale context. And then also hygroscopic seeding might impact warm rain processes, but many of the clouds that we deal with are actually mixed phase clouds. And it's to get a better understanding that if you impact on the warm rain processes, how will that affect the ice phase processes in clouds. Also looking at the development of new seeding material using nanotechnology has taken place. We've also looked at how could you modify land surface properties to enhance convergence and updrafts, the creation of artificial updrafts, and then how to optimize seeding materials in general. So this is just a very busy slide showing a depiction of all the projects of the past in UAEREP and also the present ones, but it gives you an idea that it's a very wide field. The focus is on clouds and rainfall. As I said in the beginning, the ultimate is to enhance our water resources. So rainfall is the ultimate goal. But there's a whole process involved in precipitation formation, and you need many tools to observe, measure, and model those. So these projects have all dealt with different aspects of that complex life cycle. And it's really important that when you develop a new proposal, that you are well aware of what has been done in the past so that we don't duplicate, but we can build on the program in a stepwise manner. So let's now look at the award. The award selects the most distinguished research proposals in the field of rainfall enhancement from around the world. So it's open for anybody around the world, and it happens on a biannual basis. The award is valued at $1.5 million, and it's distributed more or less evenly over 3 years with a maximum annual amount of $550,000 for each winning research proposal. So what is really new in this review, align, and prepare phase, which is the sixth cycle of the research program, is that there are 5 very distinct focus areas. And the proposals must be very closely aligned to this. But apart from that, the proposals must also indicate very clearly how they will get to the expected endpoints at the end of the projects in terms of a contribution in each of those fields. So let's just quickly look at the 5 focus areas. The one is optimized seeding materials. We will go in a bit detail, but this one clearly deals with the seeding material itself. The next one is on rainfall enhancement systems. So this is slightly wider. It deals with how do you go about to optimize your rainfall enhancement systems. The third one is about the use of autonomous unmanned systems. These systems have become very useful in the world. The next one is about limited area climate interventions. We will see what we mean by that one. And then, of course, the very important tool and the basis of many of the things that we do in this field is advanced model software and data. It is a very data-intensive field that we're dealing with. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the targeted research areas in terms of optimized seeding materials. It's really important to establish standardized methodologies for quantifying seeding material properties. So any fundamental and significant contribution to that would really be an important asset to the field of rainfall enhancement. And that can be done through cloud chamber measurements and through also comprehensive field observations. Also on this one is advanced cloud seeding modeling. So this is a multi-scale, but it deals with the most basic microphysical things to clearly understand how the seeding material and the theory comes together, and to also evaluate various seeding materials, strategies, dispersion methodologies, and also under different cloud conditions. And then the other one is to produce evidence-based recommendations for optimal seeding materials and methodologies tailored to specific cloud conditions, for example, those that are found in the UAE or in other arid and semi-arid areas around the world, and how you then bring together the information that you get from observations, modeling, and laboratory work to help you develop that. So I think that gives us a clear indication of what this optimized seeding material target area is all about. The next one is novel cloud formation and rainfall enhancement systems. So if you look at previous projects, it's really important to see that there's already been projects that have looked at creating artificial updrafts, for example, and see if artificial clouds can be created by these artificial updrafts. It happens in nature. It's called pyroclouds. You often see them when you have a large biomass fire. But this is now to take this quite a few steps forward. So it's about advanced multi-platform rainfall enhancement systems, integrating aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicles, and ground-based technology. And it's really important that any of these novel ideas should be environmental friendly, use environmental friendly materials, and make a sort of energetic sense as well. So it could involve dealing with energy systems in the atmosphere and different delivery systems, but there are clear rules of environmental soundness, and it must make sense from an energy balance sort of idea. So again here, the comprehensive atmospheric models incorporating macroscopic aspects like updraft formation and particle chemistry would play a really my arrow to. So the next one is an autonomous unmanned aircraft systems. So this is an exciting development that we see being used all around the world, also by the military. And but for this purpose, there are really many disadvantages. Many years ago, in the field of rainfall enhancement, I'm based in South Africa. We had quite a large program here, and it was recognized almost 20 years ago that this would eventually be the way to go, because the way that convective clouds develop is that they develop mostly during the afternoon because they follow the solar cycle, the heating of the atmosphere and the surface very closely. And suddenly you have many clouds and storms developing at the same time. And then to be limited by a number of manned aircraft is really a limitation. So this is a way to get around that, and especially if they can operate in a more autonomous way. So this one is ready to demonstrate the UAS platform capable of replicating precise human seeding operations, but do it in a safe and in a way that there's regulatory compliance. And as you can imagine, and some of you would know, is that these regulatory compliance issues are quite strict, and they're also different from country to country in the world. So it's really important to deal with that aspect very thoroughly. It's also important that we talk about autonomous systems, that onboard decision-making technologies should be included in the system and developed in the system, so that these systems can operate in a very much an automatic fashion. And then also to develop and demonstrate that communication protocols between the system and ground and between different systems that are reliable and go beyond line of sight. So it's really important to establish clear performance criteria, and you will also see there that there are very specific indications of what we are thinking about. You must be able to deliver up to 4 kilograms of seeding material, and you must be able to seed at least 1 to 5 square kilometers with a lead time of up to of less than an hour. So there are very clear indications of what is needed here. It's a very practical one. It's a very technology intense one, but I think a really exciting one, and one that can make a real difference to the operational side of rainfall enhancement. So the limited area climate interventions is related to the field of climate engineering, but it's not the same thing. This is much more on a local scale. We want to see, as has been done in previous projects from a theoretical point of basis, what is needed and what is possible in terms of if you change the local radiative balance and optimize the sea breeze, that is a fundamental phenomena over the UAE, utilize that better, and different landform modifications. We are building cities, we are deploying solar energy farms. That has got a difference. Albedo as the environment. How do you do this in a more planned manner so you can optimize the convergence of in the boundary layer and enhance updrafts? You can also see that we talk about humidity sources, topography modifications, local climate interventions, might include also to aerosols and other novel approaches. Again, I must just emphasize that any of these approaches or suggestions that might come forward in a proposal should always comply to environmental consciousness and also make sense from a physical, scientific, and energy point of view. So this is a fairly immature field yet, and there's a lot to learn. So it's really important then to also include in any of such proposals the technical and economic potential to go further along this specific thrust area. That must be a clear outcome of a project in this specific field. The other one is the advanced model software and data. As I said, this is a very much a data intensive field that we are exploring. And so one can always think about rainfall enhancement as actually a prediction issue, because if our models were 100% accurate, we could indicate what exactly a cloud would do if we do a certain intervention. And so rainfall enhancement is a prediction problem as well, and therefore your models must be able to duplicate nature as well as possible, and then also be able to indicate what any interventions in these natural clouds, what the results would be. So modeling is an extremely important thing, and we know that these days we have machine learning techniques and artificial intelligence, and these are playing a bigger role in climate science and meteorology. And we should optimize the use of those approaches as well in enhancing our modeling capabilities and forecasting capabilities. This also includes data simulation capabilities to optimize how you use local data. How do you maybe even include crowdsourcing and other things? So, really innovative things are needed here. And of course, these things must be provided in a user friendly visualization platform so that it's easy used. In the field of rainfall enhancement, it's really a in real time process when the operators need to make decisions on the spot, and so they need to be provided data in a digestible form that's easily understandable and user friendly. So let's just look at the time cycle of the timeline of this 6-cycle call. The announcement of UAEREP new solicitation document happened in October 2024. So the announcing the call for the submissions for the 6-cycle will happen during the International Rain Enhancement Forum in January 2025, early next year. Then the registration is required before pre-proposal submission. So anybody that would like to put in a pre-proposal, that will happen in March. And the submission deadline for the pre-proposals is then a bit later in March. In May comes the inform of the invited for the full proposal. And in August, the full proposals will be evaluated, and then in January in 2026 there will be an award ceremony that will indicate who are the successful awardees for the 6-cycle. So it's basically over the next year that there's a lot of work to be done, and we really hope that we will see even bigger response to this call than to previous one. I think we've got some exciting fields and exciting developments, and this program really allows you to work with many different colleagues around the world in a multidisciplinary way and meet new people that you probably never thought that you would work together, because these thrust areas call for cooperation amongst experts from different fields, and we also very much like to see the private sector coming involved and contribute in a meaningful manner. So the selection process, they are being selected through quite a rigorous process. There's the pre-proposal stage that I already mentioned. You can see the different elements in the pre-proposal. The research excellence, impact and quality is being looked at. The experience of the proposers and the potential of success, the multidisciplinary collaboration amongst the academia, industry, and government partners, and then the potential to enhance or transfer these technologies to the real world. And then in the full proposal, there's a very clear weighting to these different aspects that's been looked at. And you can see that the highest weight has been given to overall scientific or technical merit, significance, and innovation. And then you can see the team and its strengths or weaknesses are being looked at. Later on, you can also see that capacity building is a fundamental thing that we put quite some value on. And then also the way how you manage your resources and budget, of course, always remains important. And so then the scoring takes place on a scale from 0 to 5, where 5 is seen as excellent, exceptional, 4 is excellent. And so you have these criteria of high, medium, and low. And so each of those elements are being judged by a panel according to those in a very transparent and independent way. So let's just look at the merit review principles. The merit review principles that incorporate consideration of both the technical aspects of a proposal and its potential to contribute more broadly to the advancement of RAIN enhancement. And the reviewers will be instructed to base their critique and score solely on the written material. So it's really important whether you think people might know you or not. That's not relevant. It's what is written that will be judged in the application. So the reviewers will also be selected according to their scientific and engineering aspects, the general knowledge in the field, and the extensive knowledge in the wider field of management and evaluating of larger projects. Furthermore, all reviewers will be instructed in the program's confidentiality, conflict of interest, and ethics guidelines, and required to sign a confidentiality and conflict of interest forms and indicated the agreement to abide to these rules. Furthermore, it's important to understand also the important role of the program secretariat. They will be overseeing the proposal submission process, the review of conflict of interest, and all these things. And they will then, in the end, make the final decision, and that is actually a final decision that the program secretariat will make. So I've been involved through all 5 previous of these cycles, and I must compliment the secretariat of this program in the very professional and rigorous way that they have overseen how things are happened and how programs are being evaluated. Not just the proposals, but also when the programs have been awarded, how follow-up has been done and how intense the follow-up, review, and also guidance to the programs have been given. It's really a privilege to be involved in this program. And as I said in the beginning, it's really the most important global effort in this regard in the last decade, if not the last 3 decades. It's an impressive program, and anybody that gets awarded one of these projects should really feel honored. So guidelines for successful proposals, they must carefully describe the observation, modeling, and data analysis strategies. They must, emphasis should be given to be on the development of high impact, large team projects. We really like to see wide cooperation where there's young people involved, multi-institutional collaboration, different organizations, the private sector, universities, government, is always good to see, and I think this is the way that we move forward faster. And then, of course, as I previously touched on, the redundancy and duplication of funded awards should be avoided. So it's really important to have a good knowledge of what's going on in the field, and especially what has been going on in UAEREP in terms of the previous projects and the milestones that they have achieved, and then build on that, because we can't afford to have duplication. Another very important aspect, as this program is now maturing and it's now reaching a mature age of 10 years, is really the advanced level of technology readiness is what we're looking at. So one must go into your 3-year project with a clear vision of tangible outcomes at the end of that program. And the closer they are to technology readiness for application in the field, the better. Of course, there's some of these fields which are still more exploratory, but we must always push that boundary because, as I said in the beginning, this is a very practical problem that we're dealing with. This is about water security, and this is one of the ways that we would like to see that addressed through rainfall enhancement. So furthermore, on the guidelines, there must be a clear description on how the proposed project will build and enhance on previous work, the scope and scale to fully justify proposed funding request, specific outcomes as a goal, not necessarily solutions to all problems, but activities that could play a role in operational rainfall enhancement. A clear hypothesis is always a good way to approach a scientific problem where you then can accept or reject your hypothesis that you had in the beginning of how you think things should work, and then go through a rigorous testing of that hypothesis. Sufficient expertise and experience in the project team to effectively carry out such a multi-institutional program, and a demonstration of institutional commitment by the lead organization. This is really important. So whether you are based at the university or a private sector company or a government institution, it's really important that we have proof of the institutional commitment, that you will also get the support in conducting the work successfully. So both pre-proposals and full proposals submitted in response to this program will be evaluated by a panel review and augmented by ad hoc reviewers. So we have a panel of reviewers, but we then also use ad hoc reviewers, which we call in to assist depending on the sort of expertise we need. The pre-proposal should contain an overview of the proposed research and approach with sufficient detail to allow assessment, and then also all the anticipated participants should be identified, but their involvement will not be binding. However, neither the PI or the PI sponsoring institution may change after the submission of the pre-proposal. So there's still a bit of flexibility at that stage, but the only thing is the PI, the principal investigator, or his or her sponsoring institution cannot change after that. So only the PIs of the pre-proposal recommendations by the pre-proposal review panel will be invited to submit. The successful ones will be invited to submit the extensive and full proposals. All applicants will be notified of the results, and each application will be evaluated by at least 3 expert reviewers before discussion in the panel. So the pre-proposal will contain the following elements. It will have a cover page. It will have a PDF file containing the following sections to be uploaded via the web. A summary and description, you can see the detail there. And so I'm not going to go into much detail because the guidelines that you will receive at that stage will be quite clear. But it's just to show you that it's a very well-defined process, and you will receive very clear guidelines to how to go about it. The proposal will contain the following elements. It must be innovative, it must transfer significant impact, the research area and its broader indications, and links or URLs to other supplementary information may also be used. But you will find that information when you reach that stage. And if you go to UAEREP website, you will find there exactly the 6-cycle solicitation, all the information, and how to go about the process. And we would like you to stay connected with us. Please use this opportunity. It's an exciting one. And make a contribution to the world in a meaningful way as we try to address the water security affecting many parts of the world, including the UAE. This is an excellent program that has contributed in a very meaningful way to the field, and we would like to build on that and see all of you making your contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tablach, for the insightful presentation. And we've received some excellent questions from our audience. I would like to start with the first question. How does the sixth cycle differ from previous cycles, and what unique opportunities does it present to researchers in advancing grain enhancement science?
Hamda, I missed you for a moment. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, so the question was, how does the sixth cycle differ from previous cycles, and what unique opportunities does it present to researchers in advancing grain enhancement science?
Okay, so this sixth cycle represents a significant shift with its focus on these five distinct thrust areas that I measured: the optimized seeding material, the novel cloud formation rain enhancement systems, the autonomous unmanned aerial systems, the limited area climate interventions, and then, of course, advanced model software and data. So, unlike previous cycles, this solicitation emphasizes integration across these areas, pushing for advancement in each technology readiness, and researchers therefore have the unique opportunity to pioneer cutting edge solutions and to collaborate internationally to address water security challenges, especially for arid areas like the UAE. The increased focus on specific targeted outcomes by 2030 opens doors for innovation, multidisciplinary projects, and go beyond traditional methods of rainfall and
Thank you so much, Dr. Dion. They're asking also if we can share the TRLs that the UAEREP is adopting for this cycle, the technology readiness level.
well, it depends. Some of them will really looking for high TRL levels. I can mention the one on the limited area climate interventions is one where one can't see after 3 years that you will have an operational program going in that field. So that's one that's probably less mature. But when it comes to the UAVs, the unmanned aerial systems, and on the seeding materials and on the modeling and all these things, there's really no reason why we shouldn't see something that is really ready to be implemented and used in a very tangible way in operational work.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dion. Another question is, what are some key characteristics of a successful proposal for the cycle, and how can applicants ensure they meet these standards?
So, a key new elevation criteria for the six cycle selection process is the alignment with UAE thrust areas. So, we will look very carefully how a proposal will align to these five areas that we've identified, and specifically how they will contribute towards the 2030 endpoints that will also be shared at the time when people would like to see more detail. I didn't show those slides today, but they contain quite a bit of detail and they're not that user friendly to use in the presentation. But we have a clear idea of where we want to be in 2030 in each of these thrust areas. And so that is really an important thing. Successful proposals will need to carefully review and incorporate these targets, and other key characteristics include a strong multidisciplinary team, a clear research hypothesis, and a well defined plan to capacity building, knowledge transfer, and then also this social and environmental stewardship that I've mentioned in my presentation. So, collaborating with UAE entities and ensuring clear documented milestones will also strengthen the proposal's potential for funding even further.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dion. Another question is, given the competitive nature of this funding cycle, what are the most important evaluation criteria for pre-proposals and full proposals?
So you're asking about the competitive nature of this funding cycle?
Yes,
Okay, so
for both the pre-proposals and the full proposals.
yeah. For pre-proposals, evaluators focus on alignment with the thrust areas, research impact, proposer expertise, collaboration potential, and the ability to transform the rainfall enhancement sector. So this is like a top level view of, is this really gonna make a meaningful impact? And then the full proposals undergo a much more detailed review with the weights that I've showed before, where weight on scientific merit, significance, and innovation is the highest. But we also look at the scientific approach, the team, capacity building, and how resources and manpower or human resources will be managed. So each criteria is meticulously scored. So proposals must have comprehensive, showcasing strong scientific foundations, a robust project management plan, and the realistic expectation to enhance their chances of selection.
All right. Other question is, what new technological and methodological approaches do UAE expect from researchers in this cycle, especially concerning the use of autonomous systems and data analytics?
Okay, so as I mentioned, one of the six cycle thrust areas focuses on these advanced technologies like unmanned aerial systems with autonomous seeding capabilities, real time atmospheric sensing, and advanced decision support systems for rain enhancement. So, projects utilizing cutting edge data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning techniques for predictive modeling, and tools for real time data integration are highly encouraged. The program seeks proposals that not only develop autonomous systems for efficient and safe operations, but also leverage big data analytics to optimize cloud seeding operations. So, this opens avenues to researchers to demonstrate and validate new technologies that could redefine cloud seeding methodologies, offering both precision and scalability.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we could, for the sake of time, we'll go for the last question, which is how can the National Center of Meteorology support the awarded teams both during the 3 year period and afterward?
I think I missed something, Hamda, if you asked me another question.
Yeah, I asked you another question. So they're asking how can the National Center of Meteorology support the awarded teams both during the 3 years period and afterward?
Yeah, as I mentioned in the presentation, I've been really impressed over the past years how the National Meteorological Center and the program secretariat for UAE REP has been very supportive before even projects have been awarded, during the 3 years of each of these projects, and also post project in keeping contact and making sure that we develop as a big family, a growing family of scientists that makes a positive difference to the world. So they are deeply involved in logistical support, in assisting with import of various equipment, getting permissions. So it's in providing data of different sorts because we focus much of the work in Europe. So they've always been very forthcoming and supportive in giving all the support necessary and practical to project teams. It's really impressive. And apart from that, they also give advice and guidance to make things easier, to make sure that there's good linkages between the operational program that's been conducted in the UAE so that new developments can easily fit into and promote and assist and develop the local operational seeding program. So, yeah, I can assure anybody that wants to put in a proposal here that they will go far to find a team that will be as effective as this one.
That's great to hear, Dr. Dion. Thank you again for sharing your expertise and helping us navigate the key aspects of this cycle. Your insights have given us a clearer understanding of what constitutes a successful proposal and how researchers can position their work to make a meaningful impacts on this field, which is the reinforcement science. I would also like to thank our audience for their active participation and the thoughtful questions. If you have any further inquiries, please feel free to reach us out or visit our website, the UAEREP website. And for your information, this webinar is being recorded for a later viewing. Stay tuned for more webinars, and thank you once again, and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.